How many of you are here for the first time? Woo! Thanks for taking this step. So this is our 16th week standing outside this ordinary office building. We're here because the work that goes on here should never be ordinary in this country or in any society. Inside, ICE agents and DHS officials plan their daily hunting trips. They deploy in unmarked vehicles to abduct immigrants across New England. In the basement, people are imprisoned in overcrowded cells. There are no beds, so immigrants, including pregnant women, sleep on concrete floors. There are no windows or outdoor time, so immigrants never see daylight. There are no clocks, no showers, no soap, no medicine. Hardly any food or water is provided. The lights are always on, and a single toilet sits exposed in each cell with a video camera mounted above. It can be days before an immigrant is granted a phone call, so families don't know where their loved ones are, and most have no legal representation. Lawyers are often denied entry to this building. Throughout the day, immigrants also arrive for mandatory check-in appointments and await their fate. This is Burlington's own Guantanamo, a place where human rights and constitutional rights are meaningless. We are here because we support the dignity and rights of every immigrant. Now I want to tell you about one immigrant who was in prison here, Crystal Garcia. Crystal was born in Colombia, 35 years old, and was living in Revere with her husband, who was a permanent resident of the United States. Crystal has no criminal record, not even a parking ticket, and has been following a legal pathway to citizenship. In a recently published sworn affidavit, Crystal told the story of her abduction by ICE. Quote, "On May 27th, 2025, I went to the JFK building in Boston, Massachusetts, to appear for my first hearing before the immigration judge. At the hearing, the attorney for the government said that they wanted to dismiss my case. I had heard the government make this offer to other people ahead of me, and they had explained to them that it would be quicker to resolve the immigration case if their case was dismissed and they didn't have to be in court anymore. An attorney who was at the court told me that if my case was dismissed by the judge, that ICE could arrest me and that I could be deported without the opportunity to present my case. When it was my turn to appear before the judge, I said that I opposed the dismissal of my case. Even though the judge continued my case and gave me a hearing notice to appear back in his courtroom, I was arrested by ICE officers when I stepped out of the courtroom. I wasn't sure what was happening or why I was being arrested after the judge had told me that I could go until my next hearing. The attorney who helped me tried to tell the ICE officers that my case had not been dismissed, but I was arrested anyway. After I was arrested, I was taken to the ICE field office in Burlington, Massachusetts. I know that building because I had been there twice before. The last time I was there was on May 23rd, 2025, the Friday before my immigration court hearing. I had been to the ICE field office to comply with my required check-in as I was instructed to do. I had complied with everything that was asked of me, including attending 2 check-ins at the ICE field office and appearing for my hearing. At Burlington, there were no beds. I had to sleep on the floor with just an aluminum Mylar blanket. There was a toilet in the little cell that I was in, but no door. It was out in the open. The room was so small that we could not lay down at the same time. 2 of us could lay down, and the third had to sit up, leaning against the toilet, so that we could all fit. They barely gave us food. I lost approximately 7 pounds during the 7 days I was detained in Burlington. I was freezing the whole time I was in Burlington. It was so cold, and I was sleeping on cold concrete with just an aluminum blanket. It was very painful to sleep on the floor for so many days. I couldn't sleep on my back because it was painful, and I had just had surgery on my stomach, so lying on my stomach was also not an option. I was not allowed to shower while I was in Burlington. There was no soap to wash my hands with after going to the bathroom. I was not allowed to brush my teeth. I wore the clothes I arrived in the whole time I was there. I was scared I was going to get an infection because I still had stitches from my surgery. There was no option for personal hygiene and no way to clean the cells or the toilet the entire time I was there. I was afraid to ask for medicine because I was scared I would get yelled at and things would get worse. There was one officer who was mistreating me psychologically. He was telling me to stop bothering him and asking for things. He was arrogant. He was telling me that it was my lawyer's fault that I was there. He said, the lawyers think they know everything, but they don't know anything. He yelled at me a lot. He put my picture on the door of my cell and told the other officers not to give me anything because I had asked for too much. I don't know how they expected me to never ask for anything. I was wearing the same clothes for 7 days. I was freezing. I needed medication. The small cell had no windows that looked outside. The wall that faced the hallway was glass. It was like being in a fishbowl. I had no idea what time of day it was because there were no clocks in that cell or in the larger cell where they moved me. I felt like I was being tortured. Soon after Crystal's arrest, her lawyers filed a motion to keep her from being transferred out of state so she could remain near her husband and counsel. But when her lawyers came here to meet with her, the ICE officer stated, quote, ICE does not allow lawyer visitations with clients held at this field office. The officer added, you should have thought about that before preventing her transfer out of state. After 7 days in this Burlington hell, Crystal was transferred to a detention center in Vermont where she remains today, 71 days since she was arrested at her courthouse. Crystal's experience is shared by thousands of immigrants in Massachusetts and tens of thousands around the country. The government claims it can do whatever it wants because all immigrants are criminals. Crystal is not a criminal. She's a woman seeking a better life, trying to follow a legal pathway. According to ICE's own data published on their own website, nearly 75% of immigrants who have been abducted and detained have no criminal history and are categorized by ICE as, quote, no threat. This is particularly striking given that ICE includes traffic violations as evidence of a criminal history. But whether or not an immigrant has a criminal record, they still have constitutional rights. The Eighth Amendment states that cruel and unusual punishments shall not be inflicted. Let me ask you, do you think the conditions in Burlington are cruel and unusual?
Yes!
The Fifth and 14th Amendments state that no person shall be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law. Do you think Crystal has been deprived of liberty without due process?
Yes!
Respecting everyone's rights to due process takes time and effort from law enforcement and the judicial system. And it should, because democracy is hard work. Authoritarianism is quick and easy. All it requires is a leader's decree followed by compliance, with no regard for human rights, morality, or the rule of law. We know the difference between authoritarianism and democracy. We know that everyone in this country, immigrant and U.S. born alike, has constitutional rights and will be here until those rights are fully restored and respected. I want to conclude by sharing a brief email I received last week from a bearing witness attendee. It read, "Hi Jared, we met last Wednesday. The next day, I fell and broke my foot, and I'm having surgery in a few hours, so I won't be doing any standouts for 6 weeks or so. But I certainly will be able to be a virtual witness at immigration court hearings." Such an inspiring note. It shows how everyone can participate in this struggle of nonviolent resistance. And something we can all do is educate others, tell them about your values, tell them about your actions. Yeah. Now for me, when I tell people about bearing witness at ICE, I'm often asked, are you making any impact at all? And the truth is, I don't know. I don't know what impact, if any, we're making here, but I don't know is better than none at all. Trying is better than doing nothing. Taking a stand is better than feigning neutrality. This is why I'm so grateful that you're all here standing up for immigrants. Let's keep working together, trying to bring justice to this world. Thank you.